Jake Morrison stepped off the transport ship and looked around the massive space station. Kepler Academy floated in the darkness of space, its metal walls gleaming under the light of distant stars. The station was huge, bigger than any city Jake had ever seen on Earth. Through the windows, he could see the giant gas planet Proxima 7 spinning slowly below them. Other students walked past him in the docking bay. Jake had never seen so many different alien species in one place. There were tall, thin beings with blue skin and crystal-like growths on their heads. These were Altarians, known across the galaxy for their advanced technology. A group of shorter, stockier aliens with gray skin and 4 arms carried heavy equipment cases. These were Corvins, the best engineers in known space. Jake felt out of place among them. He was just a human from Earth, and everyone knew what that meant. Earth was what the galaxy called a Class 12 deathworld. It was a planet so dangerous that most aliens could not survive there for even a day. The weather was unpredictable, the animals were deadly, and the environment changed constantly. Humans had evolved to live in this chaos, which made other species nervous. A tall Altarian with silver crystals growing from his forehead approached Jake. His movements were smooth and graceful, like he was floating rather than walking. "You must be the human student," the alien said. His voice was musical, almost like singing. "I am Commander Veltar. I run the combat simulation department here at the Academy." Jake nodded and extended his hand for a handshake. Commander Veltar looked at the offered hand with confusion, then carefully touched it with 2 fingers. Jake realized that handshakes were probably another barbaric human custom. "Welcome to Kepler Academy," Commander Veltar continued. "I hope you will find our methods of learning suitable. We have made special arrangements for your unique background." Jake did not like the way the commander said unique. It sounded like he was talking about a dangerous animal that needed special handling. "Commander." Veltar led Jake through the station's corridors. The walls were covered with smooth metal and glowing panels that showed information in dozens of different alien languages. Students from various species walked in groups, chatting in languages that sounded like music, static, or electronic beeps. "The Academy has trained military officers for over 300 years, Commander Veltar explained as they walked. "We have students from 47 different worlds. Each species brings their own strengths to our program." They stopped at a door marked with symbols Jake could not read. Commander Veltar touched a panel and the door slid open. "This will be your room," the commander said. "You will be sharing it with Crixon of Corva Prime. He volunteered to room with you." Jake walked into the room and saw his roommate. Crixon was about 4 feet tall with gray skin and 4 arms. He had large, round eyes that looked nervous. When he saw Jake, he took a step backward. "Hello," Jake said, trying to sound friendly. "I'm Jake Morrison. I am Crixon," his roommate replied in a high, squeaky voice. "I have read many reports about humans. Your species is very interesting." Jake could tell that interesting was not what Crixon really wanted to say. The little alien kept staring at Jake like he expected him to do something violent at any moment. "Don't worry," Jake said with a smile. "I don't bite." Crixon's large eyes got even wider. "Your species does bite, though. I read that humans use their teeth as weapons when necessary." Jake realized this was going to be harder than he thought. He unpacked his few belongings while Crixon watched nervously. When Jake pulled out his protein bars, Crixon made a sound of disgust. "That food is barely processed," Crixon said. "How can you eat such raw nutrition?" "It tastes good," Jake replied, taking a bite. Crixon looked like he might be sick. The next few days were full of classes and training. Jake learned about galactic history, alien cultures, and military protocols used throughout the galaxy. The lessons were interesting, but he noticed that everything was designed for species from safe, peaceful worlds. The weapons training focused on energy rifles that could be set to stun rather than kill. The tactics classes taught formation flying and coordinated attacks that relied on technology rather than individual skill. The combat simulations were clean and predictable, with clear rules and safety protocols. Jake found himself struggling with the technology, but excelling at anything physical. During fitness tests, he could run longer and lift more weight than students from other species. His alien classmates got tired quickly and needed rest breaks that Jake did not need. In strategy class, Jake often suggested tactics that the instructor dismissed as too aggressive. When they studied historical battles, Jake could see patterns and weaknesses that his classmates missed. His suggestions for attacks were always considered unnecessarily violent. Amy Parker, the only other human at the academy, sat with Jake during meals. She was 2 years older and had been at the academy longer. She understood the challenges Jake was facing. "They think we're savages," Amy said one day as they ate lunch. "They see our planet and our evolution and they assume we're just smart animals." "Maybe they're right," Jake replied. "Sometimes I feel like I see things differently than everyone else here." "That's because you do," Amy said. "We evolved on a world that tried to kill us every day. They evolved on worlds where the biggest danger was forgetting to water their plants." During equipment inspection that week, Jake noticed something that bothered him. While checking the Academy's security displays, he saw patterns in the data that did not look right. There were gaps in the sensor coverage and irregularities in the power distribution that his classmates completely missed. Jake's brain, evolved from millions of years of hunting and avoiding predators, recognized these patterns as signs of danger. Something was hiding in the gaps, using the blind spots in the Academy's defenses. He reported his concerns to Commander Veltar, but the Altarian officer dismissed them politely. "The security systems have worked perfectly for decades," Commander Veltar said. "Perhaps you are seeing patterns that are not really there. Humans are known for their active imaginations when it comes to potential threats." Jake walked away from the meeting feeling frustrated. He knew something was wrong, but no one would listen to him. His alien classmates trusted their technology completely. They could not imagine that anything dangerous could get past their advanced systems. That night, Jake lay in his bed listening to Crixon's quiet breathing. Through the window, he could see the stars and the swirling clouds of the gas giant below. Somewhere in this peaceful academy, something was waiting. Jake's instincts, sharpened by evolution on a deadly world, told him that danger was coming. He just did not know when. Captain Zarath stood in front of the assembled cadets in the main auditorium. The Xanthari officer had pale purple skin and large dark eyes that seemed to look directly into each student's thoughts. Her telepathic abilities made most cadets nervous, but she used them carefully and only when necessary. "Today begins the Hunter's trial," Captain Zarath announced. Her voice carried easily through the large room without amplification. "This is a tradition that has tested cadets for over 2 centuries. Jake sat with his usual group in the middle section. Amy was to his left while Crixon nervously fidgeted with his tablet on Jake's right. Around them, students from dozens of species whispered excitedly about the upcoming challenge. "The trial will test your ability to work as a team under extreme pressure," Captain Zarath continued. "You will face one of the galaxy's most dangerous predators in a controlled simulation environment." A holographic display appeared above the captain's head, showing a creature that made several students gasp in fear. The Zarathi hunter was 12 feet tall with midnight black skin that seemed to absorb light. Its arms ended in claws that could cut through metal, and its face was a nightmare of teeth and glowing red eyes. "The Zarathi hunter is a bioengineered predator from the Galactic Rim," Captain Zarath explained. "It combines natural hunting instincts with artificial intelligence and genetic modifications. In real combat, a single hunter can eliminate an entire military unit." Crixon's forearms trembled as he stared at the hologram. "They want us to fight that thing?" he whispered. "It's just a simulation," Amy whispered back. "They wouldn't put us in real danger." Jake studied the creature's image carefully. Something about it reminded him of the apex predators from Earth's history. The way it moved in the holographic demonstration showed intelligence and patience. This was not just a mindless killing machine. It was a thinking predator that could adapt and learn. Captain Zarath dismissed the hologram with a wave of her hand. "You will be divided into teams of 5 cadets each. The goal is simple: survive for 1 hour while the hunter seeks you out. The simulation arena has been designed to replicate a space station under attack." Commander Veltar stepped forward to announce the team assignments. Jake found himself assigned to Team Alpha along with Amy, Crixon, a massive Corvan named Thorak, and an Altarian technical specialist called Silaya. Thorak was unusual for his species. Most Corvans were engineers and technicians, but Thorak had chosen the path of a heavy weapons specialist. He stood nearly 7 feet tall, and his forearms could carry equipment that would require a full squad from other species. Cilia was typical of her people: tall, graceful, and completely confident in her technological abilities. The crystal growths on her head pulsed with soft light when she was thinking, which happened almost constantly. "I have studied the hunter's specifications," Celia announced as Team Alpha gathered in their preparation room. "Its biocamouflage system operates on a frequency that our sensors can detect. We simply need to maintain proper formation and follow standard search protocols." Jake looked at the equipment they had been given. Each team member carried a standard Academy energy rifle with limited charge and basic environmental suits. The weapons could stun a normal opponent, but Jake wondered if they would be effective against something designed to survive in combat. "What about backup plans?" Jake asked. "What if the standard protocols don't work?" "Why would they not work?" Celia replied, her crystals flashing with confusion. "These are proven methods developed over centuries of military science." Jake decided not to argue. He checked his equipment one more time and noticed that several items could be easily modified or combined. His mind automatically began planning alternative uses for their gear, something his survival-oriented brain did without conscious thought. The teams were escorted to the simulation arena, a massive multi-level structure that recreated the interior of a military space station. Corridors connected training rooms, observation decks, and equipment bays. The arena had dozens of levels connected by stairs, elevators, and maintenance shafts. "Remember," Commander Veltar announced over the communication system, "this is a perfectly safe simulation. The hunter cannot actually harm you due to our safety protocols and energy barriers. You will feel discomfort if you are killed in the simulation, but there is no real danger." Jake felt uneasy about the commander's reassurance. His instincts, trained by evolution on a dangerous world, were telling him something was wrong. The patterns he had noticed in the Academy's security systems were still bothering him. The simulation began with all 8 teams spreading out through the arena. Most groups followed their training and moved in careful formations, using their sensors to sweep for threats while maintaining communication with each other. Team Alpha followed Celia's plan initially. She led them through the corridors while monitoring her instruments for signs of the hunter. Thorek carried the heavy equipment while Crixon managed their communication gear. Amy and Jake provided security, though Jake kept looking around as if he expected trouble from unexpected directions. 20 minutes into the exercise, their communication system crackled with panicked voices from other teams. Jake could hear shouting and weapon fire from somewhere in the arena, but the sounds were muffled by the station's thick walls. "Team Beta, respond," came Commander Veltar's voice over the comm system. "Team Beta, please acknowledge." There was no response from Team Beta. The communication channel filled with static, then went completely silent. "That is strange," Celia said, checking her instruments. "The simulation should not interfere with our communications." Jake felt his heart rate increase. His body was reacting to danger signals that his conscious mind had not yet identified. Something was very wrong. "We need to move," Jake said urgently. "Something's not right about this." "The simulation parameters are well established," Celia replied calmly. "We should continue following the planned route." Before Jake could argue, alarms began blaring throughout the Academy. Red lights flashed in the corridors and blast doors started sealing themselves automatically. The Academy's emergency lockdown protocol was activating. Commander Veltar's voice came over the communication system, but now he sounded frightened rather than confident. "All teams, the exercise has been terminated. Remain in your current positions and await extraction." "What's happening?" Crixon asked, his voice high with panic. Jake looked around the corridor they were in and noticed something that chilled him. The blast doors had sealed, but they had sealed from the outside. The Academy's emergency protocols were not designed to protect the cadets in the arena. They were designed to protect the Academy from whatever was in the arena. Amy met Jake's eyes and he could see that she understood too. "It's not a simulation anymore, is it?" she asked quietly. Before Jake could answer, the lights went out. Emergency power kicked in a moment later, bathing everything in dim red light. In the distance, they could hear something moving through the corridors. Something large and predatory that was no longer bound by safety protocols or energy barriers. The Zarathi hunter was loose in the arena, and 37 cadets were trapped with it. Jake felt his body responding to the threat in ways that surprised his alien teammates. His breathing slowed, his muscles relaxed, and his mind became focused on a single goal: survival. For the first time since arriving at the Academy, Jake Morrison felt like he was in his natural environment. The hunt was about to begin. Outside the sealed arena, Commander Veltar stood in the Academy's command center watching his instruments with growing horror. The screens showed chaotic readings from inside the simulation area. Life signs were disappearing one by one as the Zarathi hunter moved through the corridors like a force of nature. "How did this happen?" demanded Captain Zarath, her telepathic abilities picking up the fear and confusion of everyone in the room. "The containment field failed," replied a technician, his Altarian crystals flashing red with stress. "The hunter is no longer bound by simulation parameters. It's operating at full combat effectiveness." Commander Veltar tried to activate the emergency transport system to pull the cadets out of the arena, but the hunter had damaged the internal systems. The creature was not just killing randomly. It was systematically destroying anything that could help the trapped students. Inside the arena, panic spread through the surviving cadets as they realized their situation. The emergency protocols they had been taught were useless against a real predator. Most of the students tried to follow standard procedures, find defensible positions, conserve ammunition, and wait for rescue. The results were predictable. The Zarathi hunter moved through them like death itself. Its biocamouflage made it nearly invisible in the dim emergency lighting. Its enhanced senses could track the cadets through walls and around corners. Its natural weapons could cut through their basic environmental suits like paper. Jake Morrison, however, was not following standard procedures. While his teammates huddled together in what they thought was a safe room, Jake had disappeared into the arena's maintenance tunnels. Crixon was terrified that the human had abandoned them, but Amy understood what was happening. "He's not running away," Amy explained to the frightened alien. "He's hunting." Jake crawled through the narrow service passages that ran between the arena's walls. His human-sized body fit easily through spaces that would be impossible for larger aliens. More importantly, his brain was working in ways that confused and frightened his alien classmates. Instead of trying to hide from the hunter, Jake was actively tracking it. He listened to the sounds it made moving through the corridors. He studied the patterns of its attacks on other teams. He began to understand how the creature thought and how it chose its targets. The hunter's first direct encounter with Jake happened in the arena's central hub. The creature had just finished eliminating Team Gamma when it detected movement in the maintenance tunnels above. It expected to find another group of frightened cadets huddled together. Instead, it found a single human who showed no fear. Jake dropped from the ceiling tunnel directly onto the hunter's back. In his hands, he carried a makeshift weapon created from torn metal and electrical cables. The weapon was crude but effective, designed to exploit weaknesses that Jake had identified in the creature's bioarmor. The hunter spun around, trying to dislodge the unexpected attacker. Its claws reached back to grab Jake, but the human was already moving. Jake had studied the creature's anatomy from the holographic display and knew exactly where its joints and weak points were located. What followed was unlike anything the Academy's monitoring systems had ever recorded. Instead of the quick kill the hunter expected, it found itself in a real fight. Jake did not try to overpower the creature or match its natural weapons. Instead, he used the environment as his ally. Jake led the hunter on a chase through the arena's corridors, but he was not running away. He was leading it into traps he had prepared using his knowledge of human engineering and survival tactics. Electrical cables became snares. Broken equipment became projectiles. Environmental hazards became weapons. The hunter, for the first time in its existence, experienced something it had never felt before: uncertainty. Its genetic programming told it that prey ran away or died quickly. This human did neither. Instead, Jake fought back with intelligence, creativity, and complete absence of fear. In the command center, the Academy staff watched in amazement as their instruments showed the impossible. The single human life sign was not just surviving against the hunter. It was winning. "How is this possible?" Commander Veltar asked. "One cadet cannot defeat a Zarathi hunter in single combat." Captain Zarath used her telepathic abilities to reach out toward Jake's mind. What she found there shocked her. The human's thoughts were not filled with panic or desperation. Instead, his mind was calm, focused, and completely predatory. "He's not fighting for survival," Captain Zarath whispered. "He's enjoying himself." Back in the arena, Jake had seriously wounded the Zarathi hunter using nothing but improvised weapons and environmental hazards. The creature's biocamouflage was damaged, making it visible in the emergency lighting. Its natural armor was cracked and leaking the fluids that powered its enhanced systems. But Jake was not finished. Instead of pressing his attack, he withdrew into the tunnel system and began moving toward where the other surviving cadets were hiding. His human brain had already moved beyond the immediate fight to the larger tactical situation. Jake found Amy, Grixon, Thoric, and Celia barricaded in a training room with survivors from 3 other teams. About 15 cadets were huddled together, trying to make their energy weapons last until rescue arrived. "Jake," Amy called out when she saw him emerge from a ventilation grate. "We thought you were dead." "Not yet," Jake replied, checking the cadets for injuries. "But we need to move. That thing will find this room soon." "We should stay here and wait for rescue," insisted Celia. "This position is defensible and our weapons can hold it back." Jake looked at the frightened aliens around him. They were all intelligent beings from advanced civilizations, but their peaceful evolution had not prepared them for this situation. They were thinking like prey, not predators. "Your weapons won't stop it," Jake said calmly, "and rescue isn't coming anytime soon. If we want to survive, we need to stop hiding and start hunting." Grixon's large eyes grew even wider. "You want us to attack that monster?" "I want us to become something it can't handle," Jake replied. "I've already hurt it badly, but one human can't finish this alone." "I need a pack," Amy understood immediately. She had grown up on the same dangerous world and shared the same evolutionary heritage. "What do you need us to do?" Jake began explaining his plan, and the alien cadets listened in growing amazement. He was not suggesting a desperate last stand or a hopeful escape attempt. Instead, he was proposing that they transform themselves into something their species had never been before: coordinated predators. The plan was simple in concept, but revolutionary in execution. Jake would use the aliens' natural abilities and technological skills, but he would direct them with human tactical thinking and predatory instincts. The graceful Altarians would become scouts, using their natural agility enhanced by Jake's lessons in stealth movement. The strong Corvins would handle heavy weapons and trap construction, their engineering skills directed toward creating lethal surprises from arena debris. The telepathic Zenthari would coordinate communications, linking the group's movements with perfect precision. Most importantly, Jake would teach them to think like hunters instead of prey. As the cadets prepared for battle, something changed in their behavior. Exposed to human tactical thinking and Jake's natural leadership, they began to rediscover instincts their species had abandoned millions of years ago. They were evolving in real time, becoming something their peaceful worlds had never produced. The wounded Zerathi hunter approached their position, expecting to find more easy prey. Instead, it found a coordinated hunting party that was ready for war. The real battle was about to begin. News of the crisis at Kepler Academy spread rapidly through the Galactic Confederation's command structure. Admiral Chendar, an elderly Altarian with centuries of military experience, found himself facing an unprecedented situation in his orbital headquarters above the capital world. 37 cadets are trapped with a fully operational Zerathi hunter, reported his aide, a nervous Zenthari whose telepathic abilities were picking up the emotional chaos from across the galaxy. The Academy's containment protocols have completely failed. Admiral Chendar studied the tactical displays showing the Academy's location. A rescue operation would require at least 6 hours to organize and deploy. The Confederation's emergency response teams were designed for civilized crises, not situations involving bioengineered killing machines. "What are the survival projections?" Admiral Chendar asked, though he already feared the answer. "Less than 5% chance that any cadets will survive until rescue arrives," his aide replied. "The hunter's combat effectiveness rating suggests total elimination within the first hour." The political implications were staggering. The cadets represented dozens of species and several major political alliances. If they died due to Academy negligence, it could destabilize the peace treaties that held the galaxy together. Admiral Chendar was preparing to authorize a desperate, immediate assault when his aide interrupted with an urgent update. "Sir, our long-range sensors are detecting something unusual. The hunter's life signs show significant damage, and there appears to be organized resistance inside the arena." "Organized resistance?" Admiral Chendar repeated in disbelief. "From Academy cadets?" Inside the arena, Jake Morrison had transformed the surviving cadets into something their species never expected to become: a hunting party. The change was remarkable and frightening to observe. Amy Parker had become Jake's second in command, using her human instincts to coordinate with alien abilities she was learning to understand. Crixon, despite his terror, had discovered that his small size and 4 arms made him an excellent intelligence gatherer. He could fit through spaces others could not reach and operate multiple devices simultaneously. Thorek was using his massive strength and engineering knowledge to create weapons from arena debris. Under Jake's guidance, the peaceful Corvin had built traps and improvised explosives that would have impressed military engineers. Celia had overcome her reliance on standard procedures and was using her technological expertise in ways her species had never considered. Her crystal growths pulsed rapidly as she hacked into the arena's systems, turning the hunter's advantages against it. But the most dramatic changes were happening in the cadets themselves. Exposed to human tactical thinking and Jake's leadership, they were rediscovering instincts their peaceful evolution had cost them. Fear was being replaced by calculated aggression. Panic was becoming focused determination. "Listen carefully," Jake explained to the group as they prepared for their next engagement. "This creature is a predator, but it's designed to hunt prey that runs or hides. We're going to give it something it's never faced before. Prey that hunts back." The arena had become a 3-dimensional battlefield where Jake's hunting party used every level, corridor, and room as tactical advantages. They did not just react to the hunter's attacks. They anticipated them, countered them, and gradually began herding the creature toward a confrontation of their choosing. The Zarathi hunter was experiencing something outside its genetic programming. Instead of isolated targets to be eliminated one by one, it faced a coordinated group that fought with increasing effectiveness. Its wounds from the earlier battle with Jake were slowing its movements, while the cadets grew bolder and more skilled with each encounter. "Movement on level 7, Celia reported through their communication network. Her hacking had given them access to the arena's internal sensors. "It's trying to circle around behind us." "Thorek, activate trap sequence 3, Jake ordered. "Amy, take your team through the maintenance tunnels and cut off its retreat. Everyone else prepare for engagement pattern Delta." The alien cadets moved with precision that amazed the academy staff watching through their monitors. These were the same students who had struggled with basic combat simulations just hours before. Now they were executing complex military maneuvers that senior officers would find challenging. The hunter fell into their trap exactly as Jake had predicted. It found itself caught between multiple coordinated attacks, each one designed to exploit its weaknesses while protecting the attackers. For the first time since its creation, the creature was forced to retreat. "Impossible," whispered Commander Veltar as he watched the tactical displays. "Academy cadets cannot outfight a Zarathi hunter." Captain Zarath was monitoring the situation with her telepathic abilities, and what she sensed disturbed her more than the combat itself. The alien cadets were not just following Jake's orders. They were thinking like him. Their minds were adapting to predatory thinking patterns that their species had never developed. "They're changing," Captain Zarath reported. "Their thought patterns are becoming more aggressive, more tactical. The human is teaching them to be something they were never meant to be." In the arena, Jake was leading his hunting party through a complex maneuver designed to corner the hunter in the main assembly hall. The creature, desperate and wounded, was making mistakes that Jake's evolved predator instincts could detect and exploit. "It's getting sloppy," Jake explained to Amy as they moved through the corridors. "Pain and frustration are affecting its judgment. It's going to make a mistake soon and we need to be ready." Amy nodded, understanding the tactical situation in ways that still surprised her alien teammates. "How do you know it will go to the assembly hall?" "Because that's where I would go," Jake replied. "It's the largest open space in the arena. A predator under pressure always seeks room to maneuver." The alien cadets had stopped questioning Jake's predictions. Every tactical decision he made proved correct. Every assessment of the hunter's behavior was accurate. They were beginning to understand that humans possessed abilities their advanced civilizations had never developed. Crixon scurried through a ventilation shaft, his 4 arms carrying equipment that would have required a full team from other species. "Hunter is moving toward the assembly hall just as Jake predicted," he reported. "Thorek, are the charges ready?" Jake asked. "Explosives are in position," the Corvin replied. His engineering skills, guided by human tactical thinking, had created weapons from debris that could seriously damage even a bioengineered predator. "Celia, What's the status on the environmental controls? I have overridden the safety protocols, the Altarian responded. On your signal, I can alter gravity, lighting, and atmospheric pressure in the assembly hall. Jake smiled grimly. His alien teammates had learned to use their technological advantages in ways their species had never considered. They were no longer just advanced beings from peaceful worlds. They were becoming something far more dangerous. Remember, Jake told the hunting party as they took their positions around the assembly hall. We're not trying to survive this creature. We're trying to defeat it. There's a difference, the alien cadets understood. They had stopped thinking like prey and started thinking like predators. The change was so complete that they barely recognized themselves. Through the arena's monitors, Admiral Chendar watched in amazement as 37 Academy cadets prepared to face one of the galaxy's most dangerous predators in a final confrontation. What he was seeing challenged everything the Confederation believed about warfare, evolution, and the nature of civilization itself. Should we proceed with the rescue operation? His aide asked. Admiral Chendar studied the tactical displays showing the coordinated movements of Jake's hunting party. These were not desperate students trying to survive until help arrived. They were effective military operators preparing to win a battle. I think, Admiral Chendar said slowly, that we should let them finish what they started. In the assembly hall, the wounded Zerathi hunter prepared for what it expected to be a final stand against scattered prey. Instead, it was about to face something the galaxy had never seen before. A hunting party that combined human tactical brilliance with alien technological superiority. The final battle was about to begin. The final confrontation began when the Zerathi hunter entered the main assembly hall, seeking the open space it needed for a desperate last stand. The creature was wounded, angry, and operating on pure survival instinct. Its biocamouflage flickered with damage, and fluids leaked from cracks in its natural armor. What the hunter found waiting for it would become legendary throughout the galaxy. Jake Morrison and his hunting party had transformed the assembly hall into a killing field. Every entrance was covered by coordinated fields of fire. The lighting had been modified to eliminate shadows where the creature could hide. The gravity had been adjusted to favor the smaller, more agile cadets over the massive predator. Target acquired, whispered Cilia from her position in the upper galleries. Her Altarian technology had given her perfect sensor locks on the hunter, despite its damaged camouflage. All units execute, Jake commanded. What followed was not a desperate fight for survival. It was a demonstration of tactical superiority that redefined how the galaxy understood warfare. Thorax improvised explosives detonated in perfect sequence, not to kill the hunter but to drive it toward predetermined positions where other team members waited. Amy led a squad of alien cadets in flanking maneuvers that would have impressed veteran officers. Crixon used his small size and multiple arms to operate weapon systems that required entire crews from other species. The hunter fought back with all its bioengineered advantages, but it was facing something outside its programming. These were not individual prey animals to be eliminated one by one. This was a coordinated pack that fought with collective intelligence and shared purpose. Jake moved through the battle like a conductor directing an orchestra. He anticipated the hunter's moves before the creature made them. He coordinated attacks that exploited weaknesses the aliens had learned to recognize. Most importantly, he inspired his alien teammates to fight beyond their natural limitations. It's trying to reach the north exit, Amy reported, her human instincts reading the hunter's movements. Crixon, seal that corridor, Jake ordered. Thorek, drive it back toward the center. The alien cadets moved with precision that amazed them. They had become something their peaceful evolution never produced. Effective warriors who combined technological superiority with predatory tactics. The hunter, desperate and confused, made its final mistake. It charged directly at Jake, intending to eliminate the pack leader and scatter his followers. The creature's genetic programming told it that removing the alpha would break the group's coordination. Instead, Jake's hunting party demonstrated why humans had survived on a death world for millions of years. Jake did not try to dodge the charge or match the creature's strength. Instead, he used its momentum against it, guiding the hunter into a trap that had been prepared with mathematical precision. The creature's own attack became the mechanism of its defeat. Thorax engineering expertise, guided by human tactical thinking, had created a containment field from arena equipment. Celia's technological mastery had turned the hall's environmental systems into weapons. Amy's coordination had positioned every team member exactly where they needed to be. The Zarathi hunter, one of the galaxy's most feared predators, found itself trapped, wounded, and facing opponents who had become more dangerous than itself. The final strike came not from superior technology or overwhelming force, but from something more fundamental: evolutionary pressure applied with intelligence and cooperation. Jake's hunting party had become apex predators through choice rather than genetics. When the hunter fell, 37 cadets stood over its body, alive and victorious. They had accomplished something the galaxy considered impossible. They had defeated a bioengineered killing machine using improvised tactics and coordinated teamwork. In the command center, Admiral Chendar stared at his tactical displays in amazement. "How long until our rescue teams arrive?" he asked. 4 hours, sir," his aide replied. "Cancel the emergency response," Admiral Chendar ordered. "I don't think they need rescuing anymore." When rescue teams finally breached the arena 6 hours later, they found a sight that would change galactic military doctrine forever. 37 cadets, representing dozens of species, stood guard over the corpse of a creature that should have killed them all. Jake Morrison stood at the center of the group, no longer the isolated outsider who had arrived at the academy weeks before. He had become something the galaxy had never seen: a human leader who had shared his species' greatest gift with aliens from across known space. Commander Veltar entered the arena with a mixture of relief and confusion. "How did you survive?" he asked Jake. "We didn't just survive," Jake replied calmly. "We evolved." The implications of what had happened rippled through every level of galactic society. Species that had viewed humans as dangerous barbarians now saw them as potential allies whose military expertise could be invaluable. The Galactic Confederation's entire approach to warfare, diplomacy, and education required immediate reevaluation. Captain Zarath conducted interviews with each surviving cadet. What she discovered through her telepathic abilities disturbed and fascinated her. The alien students had not simply followed human orders. They had internalized human ways of thinking. They had become predators. "Their minds have changed," Captain Zarath reported to the Academy's leadership. "Exposure to human tactical thinking has awakened dormant instincts that their peaceful evolution suppressed. They are no longer the same beings they were before this incident." Crixon, the nervous Corvin who had once feared Jake's barbaric nature, became an unlikely advocate for incorporating human methods into standard military training. "Jake taught us that survival is not about having the best technology," he explained. "It is about being willing to adapt and fight for what matters." Amy Parker worked with Academy instructors to develop new training programs that safely exposed cadets from peaceful worlds to controlled stress situations. The goal was to awaken their dormant survival instincts without traumatizing them. Thorek revolutionized Corvin engineering by applying human tactical creativity to technical problems. His innovations combined his species' methodical precision with the adaptability that had kept humans alive on a deathworld. Celia used her technological expertise to create new combat systems that integrated human tactical doctrine with alien hardware. Her designs became standard equipment throughout the Confederation's military forces. The Academy instituted the Morrison Protocol, a training regimen that combined human tactical thinking with alien technological advantages. The program produced military officers who were more effective than any the galaxy had seen before. Jake Morrison graduated at the top of his class and received his commission as the Confederation's first human military advisor. His role was to prepare the galaxy's armed forces for threats they had never imagined they might face. On graduation day, Jake stood before the assembled cadets and delivered a speech that would be remembered for generations. "Evolution never stops," Jake told them. "The universe is full of dangers that your peaceful worlds never prepared you for. But you have something now that your ancestors lost when they chose safety over strength. You have the ability to adapt, to fight, and to win." He looked out at the faces of cadets from dozens of species, all of them changed by their exposure to human ways of thinking. "The question is not whether you are predator or prey," Jake continued. "The question is whether you are ready to become something better than either." Admiral Chendar watched the ceremony from the observation deck, considering the changes that one human had brought to their civilization. The galaxy was safer now, but it was also more dangerous. The aliens had learned to think like humans, which meant they had learned to be warriors. As Jake Morrison received his commission and prepared to take his place in the galactic military hierarchy, Admiral Chendar wondered what other changes the humans would bring. Their species had survived on a death world by becoming the most effective predators in known space. Now they were sharing that gift with the galaxy. The peaceful civilizations of the Confederation had evolved beyond the need for violence. But in a universe full of dangers, they had discovered that sometimes the price of peace was forgetting how to fight for it. Jake Morrison and his fellow humans were teaching them to remember. The age of human military doctrine was beginning, and the galaxy would never be the same.